Hey guys, Justin here from Real World Strength, and it's Technique Talk Thursday, so let's talk. Today, the day that I'm shooting this video, which is yesterday from when you're reading it, just try not to think about it too hard, we're testing our overhead squat 2 rep max. So in honor of that, I'm gonna go over some tips for heavy overhead squats. First of all, this is like step 0. If you have any mobility restrictions whatsoever, if your upper back, if your pecs, inner thighs, glutes, if anything is stiff or not moving fluidly, get that squared away as quickly as possible. There are myriad mobilizations out there. One of my personal favorite is what I call the overhead squirtle. I'll show you guys that one at some point in the future in a Weird Stretch Wednesday, but it's a pretty good one. Anything with a peanut and a PVC pipe where you're working through your range of motion, that'll help loosen up all of the nastiness that's involved in the overhead squat. So that's step 0. Now let's go over step 1. Step 1 is just getting the weight overhead. If it's on the lighter side, you can just use a snatch push press. In any event, you're taking this bar out on your back. Don't take it out on the front of your shoulders. It's just gonna be awkward and just silly. Don't do it. Take it out on your back, adjust your grip, and then either snatch push press. If it's heavy, use a snatch power jerk. If it's really heavy and you're not confident in your ability to power jerk the weight, split jerk, whatever. Just get the thing over your head. And the idea is you want to fatigue your shoulders and your arms as little as possible. Use your legs as much as you can, as much as you need to, in order to just punch the lockout, stabilize it, and then initiate the squat. Second part is positioning. That bar needs to go right over the back of your head. Straight up, just like so. Not behind your head, just right over the back of it. If you just go straight up like over the middle of your head, you're not gonna have your shoulder blades retracted into the most stable position for them. So just think push straight up into the ceiling and make sure the bar's over the back of your head. Easy enough? All right, let's move on. Third step is the descent in the squat. You're gonna need to keep pushing straight up into the ceiling. That's just gonna be in effect for the entire lift. But you're also gonna be sitting down and back, just like with a good back squat or front squat. If you go straight down, like only bending the knees, not really thinking about bending the hips, your position is gonna get all screwed up. If you don't have super long shins, you probably won't even break parallel, which means it won't count, which means you'll hate yourself, and that'll be all kinds of bad. Don't want you to hate yourself. Make sure you're sitting down and back. It's exactly like the back squat in terms of your overall hip and knee positioning. The only difference is instead of the bar sitting on your upper back, it's now suspended a couple feet in the air above your upper back. But all the general physics of the movement remain the same. Also, the negative, it should be slow, especially if it's a very heavy weight and it's more than you can squat snatch. That's what I would say is like a really heavy overhead squat. If you can't squat snatch it, it's freaking heavy. Make sure that you go as slow as you need to in order to stabilize that bar over the middle of your body. Hopefully you should already be practicing back squats with a controlled negative, but at any rate, whatever you can overhead squat is going to be a pretty easy back squat. I mean, it's usually going to be somewhere around 2/3, which means not a problem. Your legs got this for days. It's your upper body and your balance, the shoulders, your midline, just your ability to stabilize and balance that weight, that's going to be the limiting factor, not your ability to stand up. The fourth part, stand straight up. I want you to think about pushing the bar straight up into the ceiling to come up out of the bottom of the squat. Just like when you do a back squat, we're driving the upper back up into the bar. When we're doing a front squat, we're driving the elbows up to come out of the bottom of the lift. With the overhead squat, I want you to think push the bar up into the ceiling to initiate that ascent. And then lastly, once you finish the lift, don't be a hero and try to drop it on your upper back and walk it back into the rack. If it's very heavy, you probably had to use some kind of a jerk to get the bar overhead anyway. Just drop that sumbitch in front of you. You can take off some weights, power clean it, put it back in the rack, whatever you need to do, but just drop it. Trust me on this one. Anyway, I'll cut in some video to show you what a 1 rep max overhead squat looks like. I think this was a lift that I did almost 2 years ago, which is depressing because it means I need to try and PR again. But I did this in frickin' nanos, which is not something I would recommend. But anyway, you'll see all the elements of a PR overhead squat. You'll see the power jerk to get it overhead, keep pushing straight up into the ceiling, the slow descent, and then a controlled, just standing up out of the bottom. That's our technique talk for this week. Hopefully you got something out of it. We'll see you next time.